Hi, thank you so much for coming. We are thrilled to have Professor Cleopatra Veloutsou coming to speak with us today about developing your research brand. She is well known in the brand management field. She has published well over 200 articles and has been cited over 14,000 times. I think she's going to hit 15,000 by the end of the month. She's a top 2% cited researcher, and she has been editor of Journal of Product and Brand Management since 2013. So she has put in thousands upon thousands of hours serving and in that capacity. And she was asked to renew her contract, and she renewed it. So we are so thankful for her for doing that. And I mentioned before the research and brand management group on Facebook. Even if you're not doing research and brand management, that's a fantastic group to get examples of things to bring into your class. I know I do it all the time. And so I know you didn't come to hear me talk. So I'm going to turn this over to Cleopatra to talk about developing your researcher brand. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I am really touched. I was not expecting to see so many people from so many different countries. And because I have too much material to cover, as I typically do, I will start quickly so we can have some time for questions in the end. Now, what are we going to cover in this session? Jackie already said that I am working for the University of Glasgow. I'm the editor-in-chief of Journal of Product and Brand Management. That takes 25 to 30 hours a week from my time, quite a lot of this personal time, because as you know, service in these kind of things is not supported as much as needed from universities. I'm also an associate editor for the Journal of Business Research and for the Spanish Journal of Marketing. I'm head of the marketing research unit of the Athens Institute of Education and Research, and the visiting professor in the Aristotle University, University of Coimbra, and University of West Africa, one in Portugal, two in Greece. What we are going to cover today, I have 30 minutes and I have to be very targeted, is tips on how you can build and sustain a distinctive research brand. Why I'm here? I am here because I have managed a few things, as we will see later. I'm not going to say what and how at this point. I will be present that as I go along. Whatever I say is subjective, is my approach to things, is what I learned. It doesn't mean that there are not alternative approaches, but I have seen people using alternative approaches that go to a specific space and then poof, they disappear. I started my PhD in 1993 in February, and it's many years, more than 30 now. I started teaching 36 years ago. First time I'm going to teach in a class was in October 1990. So what I'm sharing with you is my successes and failures on trying to build my personal brand and talking with others who build their personal brand. So possibly giving you tips on how you can do it. This is some of my research achievements, and I'm not going to go in details. So your academic brand is a complex brand. It includes your teaching. And the teaching is important for your students. It's important for your own mental development and thinking. You are examining, you are mentoring in all levels. I have taught from high school when I was young, and I was teaching management in high schools, up to colleagues. Now quite often I'm invited to speak and go to training sessions to colleagues like this one. Your research, your academic research, your research brand, which is what we're going to be discussing today. And you clearly have your administration aspect, your administration brand, which is more known within your organization. Now, bear in mind that each one of these brands has a different focus. Teaching seems to be more important for students or for those who receive it. Administration seems to be more important for the management of the organization, while research seems to be more important for the wider academic community and as secondary for the administration and for normal teaching in undergraduate programs and even in master programs plays less importance. However, when you go for promotion, your researcher brand is extremely valuable, and that's why you need to build it. To start with, we all want to work well, and we all want our work to be well received. How can we do it? How we can be those that are known in the field? Nothing comes by luck. I realize that some of you know me in the audience. I don't know how many, but some of you have touched me, have drunk coffee or even wine with me, sometimes beer, depends. I prefer wine though. So you know me well, and you know that I started from a very humble background. My father never finished the high school. He was a taxi driver in Athens. My mother was a housewife, never finished high school. And we were in a middle to lower class status, more lower than middle. In Greece, I was born, I won't tell you when exactly, but you understand I was born more than 50 years ago. And my understanding of things, starting from there and being where I am now, is that luck happens, is what happens when you are prepared and you meet an opportunity. Because when you are prepared and there is an opportunity, you can take advantage of the opportunity. If you are not prepared, even if there is an opportunity, you cannot take advantage of the opportunity. So you don't expect things to happen just magically. Prepare for them. Prepare for things and try slowly to build your way. And that's how slowly build my way. Starting from nothing, not having contacts for my PhD, and later on for a job, and later on for publishing. And now people think when they meet me that I have all the contacts of planet Earth, and I don't feel the same because that's my self-perception. In other words, as a researcher, you are developing like a butterfly. The issue with young researchers is that quite often they feel that things will happen magically in 1 minute. This is not how things develop. You need to be constant, to prepare, work more, fail, succeed, work even more, fail again, succeed again, and slowly learn and improve and end up flying like a butterfly. So your academic career will take time to be developed, and your academic brand will develop slowly. Don't try to be a fad. Try to be something with very good background and try to develop with the absolutely right basis that you can build for your future. But all of this looks a little bit fluffy, and I only have 20 minutes left. I feel that a success is a good root that will grow and not just loads of leaves. And it comes after hard work. And this hard work, in my opinion, happens in 2 main eras or periods. First of all, you need to make decisions on how to position your research. These are decisions that you make as a start and before you start producing things, and are the basis of your development. After you position your research, then you need to signal your research. I've seen some people giving more emphasis on signaling rather than positioning. What position the research means? Position of your research means two things. You need to decide on the research choices, what you will be and how you want to be seen, and as a consequence of that, your research projects. Signaling your research means that you need to make decisions on your publishing choices and your post-publishing choices. So let's spend some time to think about these two different periods, how to position your research and how to signal your research, because your academic brand is going to be based on these decisions. So position your research choices and research projects. What research choices means? You need to sit down and think, in 10 years from now, how I would like to be seen as. What are the core areas that I would like my name to be associated with? So as brands aspire to achieve specific goals, you also need to aspire to get a reputation for something. Is this something has visibility and freshness? If not, try to find close areas to this original idea and develop or alter. So it doesn't mean that you start with something and you never change, but you need to start with something, master it well, and then add close components to that. So the power of you as an academic, as a researcher, is not on the quantity of the papers you will publish. So I have people telling me now, I publish 20, 30, 50 papers. But when you ask them, what you added to the body of knowledge? What is your contribution into the academic conversation? They can't tell you. They stop, they look at you and they said, 60 papers, 30 papers. Your power as a brand is not going to come only from your citations. Your power as an academic brand is going to come from your influence to a specific scientific field. Your contribution as a researcher in an academic conversation that hopefully is also connected with good publications and citations. And what are the areas that you can specialize with? You can specialize in concepts. So for example, my specialization, I claim that is in a concept is in brand management. And I choose to work in areas and papers on brand management. If the papers and the research projects are not in brand management, I don't work on them. Even if they're funded, even if others want to do most of the work and they want it only to contribute minimally, I say, no, thank you. Why? Because I don't have unlimited time and I need to focus on something and develop and keep my reputation. That is easier now for me. When I was a young academic, though, when I was approached by my chair, my professor, and he wanted me to work on something else and said no, he got very upset with me and he was not talking to me for 2 years. Then it was very difficult. I didn't have the power. But still, my approach was, this is the area I want to be known for. I will suffer at this point in order to build later. So for me, it's methods. Concept. For others, is methods. So if you think about Joe Hare, that some of you might know since you are in marketing, and he's a methodologist, he's known for his work in methods. Others are known for a specific theory. And that we go and that we talk about some of you or some others you know that are specializing in consumer culture theory. And they use this as the center of their positioning. And finally, others are working on contexts. And I will say hello here for those of you that work in tourism or banking or a specific country. Now, you cannot do it all. And you cannot do it all, at least in the beginning. You need to make choices and decide what you are going to focus on. So, are you going to focus on a topic, a methodology, or a context? And what you want to be known as in 10 years from now. I'm not suggesting to you to think about theory because it's a little bit more difficult to start with a theory unless your supervisor or your fellow researchers at the beginning are very much into theory. Starting from a theory is more challenging than starting from a topic, like in my case, brand management, a methodology, for example, any methodology, fuzzy sets, which is not very well known, or a context. And you need to think whether you can really achieve that. So if I want to specialize in a context and I want to specialize in, let's say, Pakistan, I am Greek, originally. My husband lives in Greece as well, still. I work for the University of Glasgow in the UK, specializing in Pakistan, specializing in the US, specializing in New Zealand, or in Tanzania that we saw earlier, is not very easy for me. So you need to start thinking from the area you want to work in, whether your reality and your expectations can meet. And I had to make myself a very difficult decision on this front. When I was a young researcher, my PhD was in the brand management structure. And I liked working with companies. I liked going and interviewing managers. And then I was doing my PhD in Greece. I had contacts in Greece. I had tried developing that. And then I moved to the UK in Coventry, that was a small city, town, and I couldn't find companies. And when I was approaching companies, I had an even thicker foreign accent than what I have now. Companies were not happy to talk with me. So I realized that although I was expecting to look on the branding from the company point of view, it might make sense to look for the branding from the consumer point of view. And I had to change my focus from internal to external, keeping though branding as a topic. You need to know your market. When you decide that you have this area, you need to find what are the academic colleagues around the world that are specialized in this area. Can you have any business contacts? Are there former students, PhD students, or students working in the industry, working in this area? How can you keep learning about it? And honestly, if you don't know who are the key researchers in an area to write a paper, you shouldn't write a paper. So people who write one paper in its area and they don't know who are the key contributors, practically, they don't know what they're doing. They're working on projects, and it's very unlikely to build a strong long-term brand. And that means that you need to develop skills that might be different than what you were used. Because I see in many countries at this point in time, because my editorial role allows me to look at many countries, people are going for quantity, 5, 6 papers a year, 7. I've seen colleagues with more than that. I don't want to say numbers because they're shocking. That is impossible to know in different areas as well, that it's impossible to have the deep knowledge in each one of these areas. So if you want to develop an internationally accepted brand, at least in the ecosystem I have started understanding, the Western ecosystem, you might need to change your habits to meet your goals. And changing needs decisions. You need to be ready for that. You need to change your habits, and it's painful. It's not going to come easy because you are used in working a certain way, and it's very difficult to work on a different way. On the other hand, you might decide that you want to have an academic brand in your micro ecosystem. So if in your university or in your country, this is how things are assessed, that's fine. But it will be far more difficult to get the recognition you aspire from the international academic community, or at least at this moment. I don't know how things will develop in the future. This means that when you know the topic you are emphasizing, you need to be consistent and have all your projects in the core area. 2 days ago, a very brilliant researcher approached me and told me, I want to work on that. I responded, this is not a project for me. The researcher said, but it's a very good area. I said, yes, it might be for you. It's not in brand management. You can work on it. I will not. You need to be consistent, firm, and work in the area you want to be known of, and have multiple projects with many teams, but choose people very carefully. Most of the people I work with, and I saw 2 or 3 of them in the audience, are current or former PhD students of mine. Others are people I met through research contacts. I don't open easily to new collaborations because I've seen many people suffering from that, with misalignment of research, with work that doesn't exist, with data that doesn't exist. I won't put my academic reputation into danger opening to projects with people that might have different rigor standards and ethical standards than what I feel appropriate. And be careful. Don't be a research bee. A research bee is a person that has its paper on a different area, jumps from the one academic topic to another, from the one method to the other, without any deep expertise. These people cannot contribute easily and make, in the long run, a good academic brand. You need to keep in your mind that in 10 years or 15 years from now, you want to be recognized as an expert in your team. Your expertise and recognition will come through your contribution to the field. And your contribution of the field is what others will talk about and will ask you to do things. So jumping from the one topic to the other is not enough, and it's good to follow your passion, what you really like, and not fads. Fads will give you citations, but they won't help you develop your academic brand with continuity. That's how I did it. Whatever is dark is old, whatever is yellow is new. So I started in Greece, looking at brands and the brand management structure, product management structure in the pharmaceutical industry and in other industries. That was brand management. And when I finished my PhD and I decided that it's not easy to work on that, I started working on brand relationships and brand equity, that I still work on those. I was one of the first ones working on brand communities. And up to recently, I was the most productive researcher in the area of brand communities. Recently, I have started working more on brand meaning, brand image, brand co-creation, but also on intense brand relationships, brand hate, brand love, brand polarization. And these are the keywords of my work that are working together. As a result, as Jackie said, I have almost 15,000 citations. I updated that a couple of days ago. I'm doing quite good on Scopus as well. And I'm 90% on Clarivate, meaning that according to research, I'm the top 2% of the most cited researchers for the last 6 years, based on the Scopus data. And for the last 2 years, I'm very honored that it's not just for the year, but it's for my lifetime contribution. This, though, took time to develop. And when I go to my university and I say, this is it, they say to me, so what? Citations on their own without contribution to the field mean very little. We have another 5 minutes, and I have enough time to discuss about signaling your research. Publishing choices and post-publishing choices. Publishing choices. Where are you going to present your work? Which conferences? Which seminars? Conferences are not vacation elements. They are elements that you meet people. I was fortunate to meet Jackie in the Academy of Marketing Science conference a few years back. Then I saw her again. Then I saw her again. In the beginning, we didn't know each other. Then we started talking. Then we started even more. And this is how Jackie kindly invited me here now. So you develop your network. You go to a conference again and again and again, and you meet people, and you start developing your publication, your network of academics, both for publication and for other activities. You are trying to publish top outlets, but also specialized outlets, possibly for professional outlets, that they are talking about connection with the industry as well. So you are trying to balance all of that, or not with the same piece, with different pieces and with different teams. Open access depends on whether you have money to pay for open access. Don't go to journals that only publish open access with minimal fees, because most of them are not appropriate journals. Go for publishers that are well known or academics involved that are well known. Quality or quantity? Where I work, you might have 30 papers in Q2 and Q3 journals in Scopus, apply for a job and not get shortlisted. In order to get shortlisted, you need to have a couple of publications under review or even more published, better published, in top journals, top Q1s. So what counts in different places is different, and they're objective and subjective measures. Number of publications, citation, impact factor, peer reviews, first authors, single author. As you are growing, try to have a combination. You need to have in your career a couple, in my opinion, a couple of single authors to demonstrate that you know what your brand is. Some that you are first author, but as you are getting more developed, you need to develop the new generation. Help others to publish, become second. And think about the consistency of your research stream, because this is very, very important. I would emphasize at this point in time, DORA. I don't have time. I have only 2 minutes. I don't have a lot of time to talk about DORA a lot. DORA is the San Francisco Declaration of Research Assessment and recognizes that its output should be assessed on its own right and not based on the impact factor. So or the power of the journal in general, because the journal might publish some very good papers and some papers that are not so good. I am suggesting to you to go and check DORA, because at least in my university, now we are assessing each individual paper separately, independently. So DORA suggests not to use matrices, but use numbers and assessment of the individual papers. So for example, how many citations it attracted, whether interested took it over, if it is an article in a newspaper on that, and things like that. Post-publishing. How you present yourself. Have an ORCID, have a Google Scholar. Be sure that your Scopus profile is updated and is one profile linked with your ORCID. Are you using academic social media? Personally, I don't do it very much, but I use LinkedIn very much. We have this research in brand management group that Jackie suggested on Facebook. I share my publications in my personal means, and I'm trying to present my papers in conferences, in research seminars, one by one, or now, increasingly, my research in a field as a totality rather than my latest paper only. So, research problems leading to research opportunities that are important. Choose a specific research stream or a couple of them as you grow older and be specific. Develop a clarity statement and stick to it, and communicate your output to various audiences. These are the overall suggestions I have to make. And don't judge yourself too early in the process. It takes time to achieve things. So don't expect if you finish your PhD last year, that next year you will be internationally known. It will take time. It took me 15 years of working, 18, to be offered the job of the editor of the Journal of Product and Brand Management. And I took that because of my existing reputation at the time in the field. Inside you, there is the potential to become better. And the only person who can do that is you. Your academic reputation comes as a reward of your hard work and the quality of your work and the consistency of your work over time. So it won't happen magically. You need to enable yourself to develop your brand and prepare yourself for the future, knowing what you want to become. Thank you so much. I think that my 30 minutes are gone. Keep in touch via LinkedIn, and you can find me in my email. Yes, my hair can be straight, and the thing on the background is the University of Glasgow, where I'm working, and I am in Glasgow at this point in time. So I will stop sharing my screen, and I'm open to questions. I hope you liked it.
This was fantastic. It's like, where was this talk as a 61-year-old?
And I tried to keep it on time. I have my watch.
I know, you did perfect. It's like, oh, I needed this talk 30 years ago in my career. Would have saved me like 10 years of banging my head against the wall. So thank you so much. If there's any questions, if you could type them in the chat. While we're doing that, I'm going to take a quick picture. So, okay.
So should I look at the questions, or are you going to look at the questions?
I'm going to look at the questions, but let's.
Or we can ask them to raise their hand, whatever you prefer.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick picture. Okay, and then just because, again, I just want to make sure I got the picture. I'm going to take it old school. So, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Now I see a question. In situations where promotion depends on publication volume, what strategies can I use as a young researcher to maintain high quality research without endangering my academic reputation? All right. Try to be focused on your research area. try to have all your publications in a very small area, which means that the same literature can be informing more than one of your projects. This saves time, right? So you might decide to have, from the portfolio of the many publications you have, 1 or 2 papers that you are targeting highly, and a couple that are not as strong, and you can target lower. So put more emphasis to those that are the winners in your opinion. Try to put them where you are supposed to do, and at the same time, on the background, those that they either don't make it or they are weaker, send them to other not as strong outlets. That would be my suggestion. I don't know if Jackie has something else to suggest.
No, I would have said the exact same thing, sort of that, Boston Consulting Group matrix. You need some of those star papers that will shine when you go up, but you also need some cash cow papers because there are members of the committee that just count, particularly because you will often in a promotion and tenure decision get reviewed from people that don't know your area. And so I think you've got to have the stars, but while you're waiting for those stars, because we know a star paper could take anywhere from 3 to 7 years, depending on the journal, depending on how many studies are involved. And in the meantime, you need to spin off more of those, lower level journal. I would not go super low.
No, not so low.
But every paper has a home.
Counts.
Now,
what is your opinion about publishing books and book chapters? Where I am, that I'm in one of the top 100 universities in the world, books and book chapters don't count. So it very much depends on what you want to achieve. I don't know, Magdalena, what is the situation in your university, but check what counts now. I would very much like for years to write a book on brand management. With working 25 to 30 hours a week in the journal, I never have the time, and I haven't done it. Will it help me? It will give me a reputation outside academia and with students. Is this what I'm after? If I think that this is what I'm after, I will stop working so much in my other research projects to work on a book. So the week has 7 days, the day has 24 hours. And in your case, I know well that you have 2 small angels as well that you need to give time to, and a wonderful prince. So you need to balance your life, box time for certain activities, and make sure that you tick the boxes that are important for you as an individual and for the people that you would like to be employed from. Yeah. So that's my opinion about books. I think that you understand. In the age of social media, academic platforms, Jackie, do you want to add?
Oh, no, that was what I was going to say. The next question dealt with social media and a digital presence to get your thoughts on that.
I am very active in the Research in Brand Management group. My Facebook account, I prefer to keep it for my friends. So I don't accept people that are not friends or I know one way or another on my Facebook group. But the Research in Brand Management group, I share a lot. And in LinkedIn, I share a lot. I know other people like Dimitrios Bouchalis, who is in WeChat, Instagram, everywhere. I don't have time for that. I can't. I already work 60 to 70 hours a week. But yes, you need to have social presence. And that's what I'm trying to push the people I work with. And I am smiling because some of my PhD students refuse to go to LinkedIn or don't want to do that. But if you want to build your academic brand, you need to think outside your institution, because the outside of your institution will build your brand internationally or nationally rather than only on the boundaries. Jackie, what is your opinion?
I agree wholeheartedly. As someone that, I don't like to talk a lot about myself, but I feel like, oh, I've got to make a post. You don't have to create every single post. You can reshare a post. So like there will be people that will post something in industry, like Nancy Harhut, and I'll put her name in. I follow her on LinkedIn, I would say at least once every 2 weeks. She has just gems where she takes stuff from academics and relates it to practitioners, but always be sure to thank the people, give credit. So I always say, thank you so much at Nancy Harhut for sharing this post and then whoever she's talking about. Plus, it's a good way to get industry contacts on LinkedIn. And so you can still have a presence without thinking, what am I going to say about myself today on LinkedIn? Also, in your comments to other people, say, I'm so happy for your success. A lot of the people I'm friends with now, I became friends because I commented on their post, because I'm an introvert person. So I have a very hard time meeting people. So I would just do it like slowly. And then, then I'd see them at conferences and they'd recognize me like, oh, you're always the person congratulating me when I would post about my pubs. And so there's multiple ways. It doesn't have to be every day. I've got into Canva and made this beautiful post that I'm now going to post on LinkedIn. There's multiple ways of having a presence, even if you're an introvert.
HP is saying that you said we need to choose one area, either concept, method, or context, but usually people consider that relying on context only is sufficient to contribute effectively as early career researchers. And I will bring to your attention the tourism area or the sports management area or the banking area, that they even have their own journals. Even retailing, right? It's a context. However, the journal of retailing is perceived as a 4-star. So it depends on what context you choose. And again, this is a choice.
There's an editor's question. As an editor, what checklist do you follow to review a manuscript?
This is out of context. I see if we have time in the end, we will answer it. But let's focus on this.
Yeah, I would just say, look at the website for the journal. The journals will say in their website what type of papers they're looking for. And I think that will be good guidance. Okay, in an era of interdisciplinary research, is it wise to stick to one narrow topic?
Interdisciplinary research means that you bring different disciplines to analyze something. So it can be interdisciplinary research to analyze a topic. So the interdisciplinary, in my understanding, means method more than anything else, and knowledge from different disciplines, right? So I'm not sure I understand this question.
Okay, we have another question about citations and the idea that
I'm not saying that citations are not important. I'm saying that the importance of citations is subjective, and different institutions give different importance. If you come only with citations in top institutions and you don't have both citations and influence to the discipline, or to a topic, you can demonstrate positioning, they will not take you seriously. I know people with very high citations and don't want to say names, that were finding it very difficult to be shortlisted in top university in the UK, although their citations were great because of the lack of focus on their research and the fact that they had citations, but their papers were not really published on outlets that were very well respected as well. So it's a combination of things. Citations alone are not enough.
And I think if you do research that makes an impact in your field, that helps other researchers, helps guide them, help add to knowledge, those papers on their own will get cited.
There is an interesting expression here, Jackie, for you and me. Do you have any tips on how to increase citations ethically? I'm not sure what is not ethically increase of citations, because personally, I haven't asked anybody to cite me. Even as an editor, sometimes I say, you might find this useful or not when I give a paper that is mine occasionally, very occasionally, right? So your citation should come because of the relevance of your work, and not for I don't understand what is meant here, because I haven't asked anybody unethically to cite me. I don't understand it. Do you understand it, Jackie?
I think they were saying for an early scholar that feels that pressure, and I think focus on the research and the citations will come.
The citations will come.
Oh, and then I think there's the idea, we have another question about how narrow is too narrow.
And this is one of my ex-PhD students who is now lecturer, assistant professor in China. She nice to see you here after so long. This is a matter of subjective decision. I would suggest in the beginning of first 2 or 3 projects to be very narrow. Your PhD was in brand equity in tourism. You have a choice of focusing in tourism, or you have the choice to focus on brand equity, on brand strength. So don't start and do something totally different, because the literature you have read is not going to be usable. So you need to think to the extent of that you can build on what you know for your next step, and slowly read outside this area, because in order to publish well, you need to know the literature well, right? Am I answering, C? Yes? Nice to see you. I hope that the baby is good. C is a young mother.
Oh. Now I see a hand up with Matt. So Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, oh, sorry, somebody keeps messaging me here. I have a question.
You're important, Matt. That's why.
Yeah. I my girlfriend, she needs my attention immediately, right? So, I have a question just about bringing like my work to attention. I've been part of the Facebook group for many, many years. Obviously, I really want to get my work out as much as possible. I have a communications background, and I've been essentially kind of, pondering a little bit about alternative methods or alternative interfaces, I guess you can say, to get my work out there. And I was curious if you'd identify any roadblocks to presenting my work in methods that are different from just writing or a paper, right? For example, video essays or interactive articles of some sort. I have a bit of a computer science background as well, so I've just been like trying to figure out ways to make this writing more exciting, make this content. I don't like to use that word much, but to make that material more exciting. Do you have any thoughts about why that might not work, or I was just curious to know what your thoughts might be.
All right. Your material, I understand, is academic papers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Academic papers discussing brands. One of my favorite researchers, Adam Arvidsson. Maybe you've heard his name in the past. He wrote a very interesting paper on brands from a critical perspective. It's about writing my own stuff as well as presenting some of these concepts to the public. I'm really kind of passionate about making them bringing this academic research to everyday readers, right? And I realized that sometimes very densely written essays might be challenging for a lot of people. So I'm just trying to think of ways to bring this my academic research, to more in more, I guess you can say, digestible formats. Yeah, I was just curious
In
from
other words, Matt, you are looking for building your brand outside academia.
Building it outside of academia, I mean, in the sense that it's not behind paywalls or necessarily in journals, but also kind of, academic in tone, of course, scholarly research, citations, fact-based uh, content, right? Fact-based, research-based, right? But just in a way that is more digestible, more easier access, more
Yes,
easily
but
accessible.
this is not on building your academic brand, and the people are here to talk about building your academic brand. What you're suggesting is about dissemination of knowledge and impact and contact with practice. And there is a whole body of literature on that and advice. Go to magazines,
Mm-hmm.
practitioner magazines, newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and try to do it through that, or blogs for managers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a
You
person,
could use LinkedIn as well, but you need first to build followers, or to find groups that practitioners hang to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
depends on who is your audience. For your academic research, for what you have, first email a few friends, post, and build your academic brand like that. I have over 12,000 or 13,000 followers now on LinkedIn, but
Mm-hmm.
this took me 15 years to build.
Mm-hmm.
So everything needs time. Nothing happens in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie.
oh, I put in the chat, a person that specializes in writing is an industry person is Ann Hanley. She's she's another good industry person to follow. And I think she's coming out with a new book about how to write that's authentic, that people will read. That's going to be my holiday reading list, that she might be a good person to follow. Let's do one more question because we're closing in on 11. There was a question about refocusing to a different topic. So you've picked your area and then you realize you want another area.
Marco, it's what you say is easy, because you say that you started in hospitality and tourism and now you're interested in branding. Start to work all consumer behavior. You can't have branding and consumer behavior and hospitality. Choose one of the two, either consumer behavior or branding, and start doing all your work on the context you have already some knowledge about, and either consumer behavior or branding. And after 2 or 3 projects that you will familiarize yourself with either consumer behavioral branding, then you can move to other contexts. So use as a helper ground on your existing body of knowledge and minimize the time you have to invest on doing other things and learning many other things, right? Jackie, do you have to add anything?
No, I think you've done an excellent job, and I just want to, yay, this was fantastic. Thank you so much, Cleopatra.
Jyoti has a question. Look at her hand. Are we going to
Okay,
listen
nope,
to
nope,
it?
nope. Okay, if you want to answer if you want to answer one more question, that's fine.
Okay, it's a shame. I see her hand and I see her smile. I feel uncomfortable. So Jyoti.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. My question is that recently I have seen that in reputed journals today, researchers are expected to demonstrate both strong conceptual contribution and methodological rigor. So my question is, how can researchers strike the right balance between developing a strong theoretical foundation and ensuring robust, high quality methods in their studies?
Okay. I don't know if Sin Yu is still in. I don't know if she ever came or if Stefania is here or she's gone. They will both tell you that we work on writing one paper for about a year. 12, 14, 16 rounds of rewriting. And this is what we do. And we have at least one member of the team that is experienced. We have a project with Kyriakos that I want to talk with him at some point, because the writing of our journal article will be totally different than the writing of our conference paper. We need to totally reposition it. But in any case, writing and demonstrating all of that is an ongoing process. My advice is try to start working from the beginning with strong researchers who know what they're doing and learn. And even when you think that they're asking for crazy things, close your lips, bite your tongue, and listen more. Yeah? And it takes time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
In any case, I would like to thank you all for being here, and it's all in Jackie's hands to close. I am deeply, deeply honored. Very, very much so.
Thank you all so much. Please follow us and look at the Higher Ed SIG, because we'll be doing another event in the spring semester. And thank you guys so much for coming. We greatly appreciate, and thank you so much to our guest speaker. I know I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Professor Veloutsou, for a fantastic session.
Professor Eastman, I am the one who learn every time I meet you. From your smile, from your generosity, and from your very bright mind and ideas.
Well, thank you all, and have a wonderful finish to your Friday and a fantastic weekend.